What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Knockout Sessions. It's your boy Julio. Unfortunately, my other half is being a mandilon right now in Mexico. The irony of 2 weeks ago, how he said the exact same thing. But now I have his better half, the more handsome version, you know, the one with the beard.
You flatter me. We're off to a very good start.
Everybody, welcome back.
The
Bobby.
Favorite slave / intern / fill-in.
The favorite son of Knockout Sessions.
His words, not mine, but I will accept them.
But Milton, I hope you're good. I'm still doing a petition, so you stay over there in that third world country, you know, our home grounds. But that's neither here nor there. We'll forget about him. We'll see him next time. But we begin with the postponement of Usyk and Fury.
Oh, don't you just love boxing?
I don't.
I know.
I really get tired of it.
I've watched the videos. I've heard every little negative thing you have to say about boxing. Me personally, I do love boxing, but it is exhausting being a boxing fan.
Here's the thing. I do love boxing. I don't do this just to talk about boxing for no reason. I love boxing. Here's the thing about boxing.
Okay.
It's turned into this thing of not only is it hard to make a fight, it's hard to keep a fight.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It's almost like that food that you always want to order, and it's already hard for it to order because it's never on the menu. And when it's on the menu, well, we're out of this.
Well, let me ask you this: is this a valid reason to postpone the fight, though? Because this isn't like a typical, you know, politics BS.
Yeah.
It's like an injury. It's a recurring injury that we see out of Tyson Fury lately.
So the injury that happened for the postponement is that he got a cut on his eye. It's a very significant cut. It's a very deep cut. I believe it's the same cut that was opened in the Ngannou fight. I do think it was worthy of it being postponed because of the injury. Now, I'm actually glad it's postponed because this was the best case scenario because there was rumors of Usyk trying to fight Hrgovic in retaliation of the fight. But now that it got postponed, see, I'd rather have a postponement than a complete abandonment.
That is very true because with all this talk lately, it really seemed like Tyson Fury is just going for whatever easy kind of money fights, and Usyk is just talking about retirement. He's got nothing to prove. He already thinks he's the best, which I mean, fair enough.
I mean, this is probably his last test, unless he really wants that money fight against the winner of Ngannou and Joshua.
Yeah,
really Ngannou. If he beats Joshua, we don't want to see Joshua Usyk 3.
Yeah, no, honestly, definitely haven't seen anything from AJ to warrant me thinking that his fight against Usyk would go any different the third time around. So I'm pretty sure we all agree on that.
Yeah, so I'm a little disappointed that now we have to wait a little longer, but you know, this is the best case scenario in boxing. Now,
speaking of Ngannou, I think he's a bit of a wild card at the moment. Do you think he keeps hanging around in boxing? What do you think Ngannou's going to do with all this?
I think he hangs around in boxing. He's going to fight Anthony Joshua, and the winner of that is probably going to be promised a title shot.
He's probably going to lose to AJ, if you ask me.
I understand he's the favorite.
Yeah.
And I do believe maybe he wins. I'm a whore for upsets.
Yeah. If you watch the channel long enough, you'll start to notice that. Stay posted for our next video.
I'm telling y'all, come back to me and call me Julio Damas when Ngannou sends AJ's jaw into the third round, because it can happen. AJ's chitty.
It's very possible. Ngannou could probably knock out a rhinoceros. Let's be real. He probably could. You know, one tap of rhino.
What did Dana White say? He's got the ability of a 2018 Ford Fusion.
Getting punched by that guy's like getting hit by a Fusion. Panto
at 50 miles an hour.
Jesus Christ. And
I'm just like, okay, well, I mean, if that's the case, Joshua's gonna have a hard night if he gets clipped with that.
Yeah, that's fair. I think ideally, I mean, AJ obviously knows about Ngannou's power. That's basically what almost got him the win over Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
I'm thinking most likely maybe we might see a return of AJ's kind of more elusive style that we saw against.
He'll have to.
What's the name again?
It was against when he was fighting Andy Reese in the second fight.
Andy Reese, that's what it was. The one-hit wonder.
Unfortunately, our Vanilla Brown.
Yes, he looked like the Messiah. Boy, were we wrong.
No. No,
he was our only chance of having a Mexican champion at heavyweight in boxing.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, yeah, because there's no up and comers that are going to be representing Mexico like that. But yeah, I think Andy Reese, was the best case scenario for Mexican boxing. Now it's whatever it is. I think, like you said, AJ is going to revert back to that kind of like elusive style of fighting with Ngannou. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing about Ngannou: he had the best possible fight to debut on. He's probably also going to get maybe a little bit better because now he was thrown into the deepest of waters.
That is true. If I'm being honest, obviously I have AJ as a favorite for obvious reasons. He's the decorated boxer. He's been doing it his whole life. But I truly believe that Francis is exactly the wild card we needed in the heavyweight division before it started getting horribly stale.
He is like that random thing on a peanut butter and jelly sandwich that was needed to make it just a little bit more sexy.
What random thing would that be? Peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Bananas. He is the banana in this whole thing.
Fair enough.
And by banana, yeah. But
moving on. But anywho,
speaking of fights, I swear I said this last time. We talk about Ryan Garcia every single video like as if he's our messiah, and
he's a stubborn one. If nothing else,
a stupid one.
Yes, but credit where it's due. Somehow this man manages to stay relevant, whether it's TikTok, Twitter fingers,
women
making things happen, divorcing his baby mama after she just popped one out. Hell yeah.
Absolute animal of a mutant of a human being.
I would be possible brownie points for that one. Kind of funny. Anyways.
Horrible.
Hey, that's funny. Call it what you want. There's no such thing as bad publicity.
I'm a gentleman. That's horrible.
Yeah.
At least wait a week.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so now we're kind of back into the whole carousel of Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney. Apparently, both have teased it April 20th.
Right.
Now, it seems like they're just once again flirting because there's no more left on stage for them to go dance with. So now it's more like they're looking at each other like, now what?
Yeah, I think realistically, I can't really believe that anything is set in stone until they're either having a face-off or there's a press conference. And even then, you never really know.
Oh, I'm one of those stubborn boxing fans that until I see a red alert on my news feed and it says official and like it's signed, not just verbally, but it's signed, then I'm like, okay, cool. Like, for example, recently, better be a Bivol. Red alert, signed. You know what I'm saying? That's what I need out of the Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia saga. Because at this point, it's like two girls or two dudes that are like flirting with each other, like, because it's 2024, and they're flirting with each other,
LGBTQ,
and it's just everyone's looking at them like, go on this date, like go. Just we know you want each other, like.
Interesting analogy, but very accurate. Very accurate. I agree. Yeah, I feel like we've been hearing about this whole like Ryan Haney rivalry since their like Olympic days, like amateur days, like.
And they're homies. It's not like there's bad blood, but I think this just comes down to money and
always
glory, like between the two. Because they're like he said, there is history there going back to the Olympic days. I'm sure now that. Even though Haney is the champion, Ryan has more of he's more popular, he brings in more cachet.
He's the pop star.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like one has the titles, the other has the money.
Of course.
So you put them together and you have a good recipe though.
Absolutely. And I would say that realistically, Haney's the heavy favorite. We haven't really seen anything from Ryan to suggest that he would beat Haney, to be honest, especially because I would argue that for the most part, Ryan's career has kind of been on the decline while Haney's been ascending slowly but surely.
I don't know if on the decline, it's just been stagnant,
Yeah, that's a better choice of words.
And I'll do this one for you, Milton, because I know you'd mention this because you're petty. That horrible Philly shell.
Oh, you mean the turn your back on the opponent Philly shell?
That looked more like a turtle shell, if anything.
Yeah.
We don't know what that was. We won't let it go anytime soon because it was just horrendous. Sean Strickland, I've said it before and I'll say it again, did a better job at the Philly shell than Ryan Garcia.
Absolutely. He did not go to the school of Floyd Mayweather because, yeah.
But speaking of megastars, this is time for me to cook.
Oh, here we go.
It's time for me to cook.
Canelo fanboys, leave while you have a chance.
I was one of y'all, and still one of y'all, but I'm teeter-tottering because we have gotten reports lately of Canelo's 2024 plans being Jermall Charlo in May and Terrence Bud Crawford in September. Are you, as a Canelo fan, as a loyal one, because I'm starting to like turn my back. I need you to make it make sense. The math for me.
All right. Starters, I'm gonna keep it a stack. I'm a Canelo meat rider. I ride that man's meat till the wheels fall off.
Big Red, I hope you're watching that one.
Backstage passes, please. Anyways, but that being said, I really can't defend it this time, to be honest. Maybe the Charlo one, only because the Charlo fight, you could argue, is unfinished business, especially with all the talk that had been going on for years.
That's the one that pisses me off more.
It's not my favorite fight, but for the casual fans, you know that it's the kind of thing that they'll eat up. So it's like, it is what it is. The Bud fight happening after the Charlo fight, horrible. I won't defend that. That makes no sense.
Canelo, look what you're doing. Look what you're doing. Me, I'm already kind of like, why? For what? I like you. I still love you. You are my favorite fighter. But here's the thing. It should have been Benavidez and then maybe Crawford.
I agree with that. That would be a way better deal.
Charlo is not in the discussion. He should not be in this discussion. He should be the next fight for Munguia. He should be the next fight for Morrell. You know what I'm saying? Like, Charlo should not be awarded. First of all, he pulled out because, you know, his genitalia was hurting. I'm gonna call it what it is.
I'm listening.
He pulled out. He lost the chance for the payday. He gave it to his brother. His brother did nothing with it. So you're expected for me to believe, just because Big Charlo, because they're the same height, they're the same everything, it has a better chance against Canelo when he just beat the more talented twin?
Definitely does not have a better chance. Realistically, I agree, and small Charlo is the better Charlo. Like I said, if I had to guess, this move is for the casual fans. The casual fans that don't keep up with boxing, they hear Charlo, they think Lions only, you know?
For you casuals that want to see Canelo Crawford, I'm about to quote this man's favorite meme. I'm here to tell you, we don't care. We don't care.
Golden meme. Shout out to Stephen A.
Like, we don't want to see that. Not yet, at least. We don't want to see Canelo Crawford before Benavidez. Like, that is the fight to make. Honestly, I'll take Munguia Benavidez over Charlo Crawford right now.
Yeah, I agree with that, actually. It's like, at least that's two arguably. I mean, Benavidez isn't really a prospect anymore. Like, that man's solidified his position to be next up against Canelo, which is a big part of the reason why it's kind of bullshit that Benavidez doesn't seem to be in the plans at all right now.
It's just baffling to me.
You know, I'm a heavy proponent of, I don't think Canelo's reaching that age where he's too old.
He will by the time he fights Benavidez at this rate.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going with that. The rate that this is going, if Benavidez isn't the plan at some point this year, I think you could really start making a case that Canelo is getting on the older side or something.
Let me ask you this, because it could happen. It's boxing, you know.
It should be good.
It's fucking boxing. Right. Let's say he fights Charlo, he fights Crawford. He's a free agent at that point.
Right.
He goes and signs a 1-year deal or a 1-fight deal with DAZN and fights Munguia in May 2025. Mm-hmm. You still have Benavidez waiting. If he fights Benavidez September 2025, is Canelo fucked?
As far as his chances go?
He's older now. Benavidez by then, I'm sure, is in his prime.
I think a big factor in all that would be how competitive the fights go before then.
Okay, let's say
if they were easy wins, then he probably still.
He knocks out Charlo.
Okay.
He probably stops Crawford. Let's be honest. He should stop Crawford.
Yeah, for any Crawford fanboys out there, your boy doesn't got a chance.
You'll be lucky he makes a decision, if I'm going to be honest.
Absolutely.
He goes through a war with Munguia.
Okay.
What are his chances by that point with Benavidez? And Benavidez, let's say at this point, has beaten the Morales of the world, the Berlangas of the world, whoever you want to throw at him. You know, like.
I would say if everything played out the way you just described it, I would say that at that point the Canelo Benavidez fight would kind of be a passing of the torch fight, where Canelo's most likely going to lose.
Canelo's going to be the Cotto to Benavidez's Canelo.
Yeah, I would say so, to be honest, at that point.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Because by the time Cotto fought Canelo, Cotto was about 10 years older than Canelo.
Yeah.
But still very competitive fighter. That's at the point that we're going to see Canelo. It's probably still going to be if it goes to that point.
Yeah. Realistically, I would like to see Canelo retiring at the top, but if things play out the way this man just described, I don't see him retiring at the top. Unfortunately.
Sorry, guys. That's the reality of it. That's where we're heading. And speaking of reality, when somebody by the name of Shakur Stevenson needs a reality check, him retiring, cat. We don't believe that.
That's why we both brought him out today.
100. We don't believe that. Well, that and I'm bald.
Spoiler alert.
For those that didn't know, I didn't shave today. And
gotta do a head reveal now.
100. Pay me.
500 likes.
Like, subscribe, and share. But this whole I'm retiring at the age of 26 to remain undefeated. Shut up. Like, that's what it comes down to. Shut up. Like, we don't believe that.
See, I have two ways of thinking about this statement.
Okay.
There's one way of thinking of it, which is it's the coward's way out to not fight any of the top guys and just be like, I remain undefeated. My skills were the best.
You won't be remembered.
I'm one of the greats.
You won't be remembered.
Of course not. Absolutely. That would be the most garbage move he could possibly
He would be like the Zabit of boxing.
Oh, now there's a reference. You gotta be a real MMA fan to remember good old Zabit.
But I'm not Magomed Shaparov.
Dagestani Abraham Lincoln.
100. That's what you'd be like, Shakur.
But the other line of thinking is this is kind of like a drama queen move. He's trying to pull a Telfimo. When Telfimo kind of did that when he was like, I'm not getting paid enough kind of deal. So I could see it going that way. But realistically, Shakur has no legs to stand on considering how horrible his last fight was.
Honestly, I believe his last two fights have been horrible. Like,
see, the fact that I don't even remember the fight before the last one, you're absolutely right. We don't care.
We don't. Well, I'm sorry, Shakur. We don't buy it. We know you'll be back. It's probably a diva move.
Yeah.
You know,
Telfimo did it better.
Yeah, we're not gonna waste too much enlightenment on this because we know how it is. We know what it is.
Yeah.
Speaking of retirements, one is trying to go into retirement. Another one is trying to come out of it by the name of Manny Paquiao being reported that he'll come back for a fight against Gervonta Tank. Wahid.
Ooh.
2.
Praise Allah.
Alhamdulillah. Number 2, Ryan Garcia. Again, always in the spotlight.
More reasonable fight.
I would actually enjoy that fight.
Yeah.
And 3, Conor McGregor.
That one's actually news to me. I did not see that. I saw Josh Taylor. I did not see Conor McGregor.
You mentioned Josh Taylor. I mentioned Conor McGregor. Apparently, they're both in the mix as well. Honestly, I would like to see Josh Taylor as a return fight. I would like to see that as a return fight if you're serious about fighting either A or B, Wahid, and Ryan Garcia. Conor's not in the discussion. We'll get to Conor later.
Oh.
But,
man, Lord.
I'll only accept the return fight if it's part 1, Josh Taylor. I would like to see that. And part 2, Garcia or Tank. If you fight Tank, though, Manny, you're probably going to be sent back to the Philippines trying to correct everything that's going on over there.
Yeah. Let me tell you exactly what I don't want to happen to Paquiao. So we all know Pacquiao's a legend.
Die at this point.
that, but
like a Tony Ferguson of boxing, almost not at this point.
Yeah, I was gonna say Roy Jones. I don't want to see him go down the Roy Jones path of overstaying his welcome, getting knocked out again, just taking bad losses, adding L's to his record that he doesn't need to.
He lost a competitive fight against Ugas. That was his last fight, and even though it was an upset because I did have Paquiao winning that fight, you know, you beat Ugas and you had just beat Thurman, so it's like you kind of left on a bit of a good note.
I'd say that Keith Thurman was a pretty good note.
For sure. That was
especially at the time.
Yeah, that was supposed to be also a passing of the torch kind of fight, and didn't have Paquiao had different plans.
Yeah.
I think you should have just left it at that. I mean, maybe Paquiao, in Pacquiao's mind, losing that last fight to Ugas was probably a sour taste in his mouth, and I get that. And if you fight Ryan Garcia, I actually would say that's a pretty interesting fight.
That's a winnable fight out of everybody else.
Absolutely. And if Ryan loses to Manny Pacquiao, Ryan,
it's time to hang him up.
Go be a TikTok star or a model. Or
celebrity boxing.
Celebrity boxing.
He would annihilate all the competition in celebrity boxing.
Bro,
Jake Paul versus Ryan Garcia, make it happen.
We don't want to talk about Jake Paul. The fact that he's fighting. Who's he fighting? Actually, I forgot to mention that.
I think he might be fighting your Lord and Savior.
No.
Oh wait, no, that's Mr. Nate Diaz.
Yeah,
I got scared though.
No. It's inevitable. Let's be honest. But
I loved it.
But I believe Jake Paul just recently announced that he's actually having a fight against. It's actually a ranked opponent. Yeah, Ryan Berlin. Not a ranked opponent. I'm sorry. An actual boxer.
Yeah.
Now, this is where I'm going to be a little bit of a dickhead, guys.
Ooh.
I'm about to dissect this Ryan Berlin because I don't think even his mama knows him.
Oh, Lord. This man's catching strays.
Like,
for what?
First of all, come on.
Okay, I'm not going to lie. He looks like a middle school janitor.
Yeah, he looks like he's liable to shoot your school up.
Absolutely.
What's his last fight, though?
Super incel vibes.
His last fight was September 17th of 2022. 2022!
I mean, it's Jake Paul.
You know what?
What do we expect?
At this point, it's better than nothing. It's better. It's a boxer.
At this point, I'm waiting for Conor versus Jake Paul.
I'm not gonna get into all that right now. We've already had too much heathen stuff on this video. Yeah. I'm not gonna continue it. But
I know you love that take.
You know what? You know what I want to see Pacquiao fight if he doesn't come back to fight Josh Taylor? Conor Benn.
That's actually not a bad idea.
If he wants to continue at welterweight.
Yeah.
Because Conor Benn just recently won his fight in a 12-round decision against Peter Dobson. Conor Benn actually had a hard time with. It ain't sweet out here without those PEDs now, is it, Conor?
Yeah, Mr. Benn, he's not on the secret sauce anymore. So, is there a potential decline on the way?
I don't know if a decline, but I think we're going to see what his natural ability can take him. Because the scores were 119, 109, 118, 110, 118, 110. That's damn near a complete shutout. But he did have problems with Peter Dobson. Peter Dobson was giving some good hands. But the fight itself was boring. But he came out and called out Javon Boots Ennis.
Which, here on Knockout Sessions, we like to keep it 1,000. This man has no business getting into the square circle with Mr. Botas. Mr. Botas is going to send Mr. Conor Benn to an early grave. At least career-wise.
There's two directions Conor Benn's going to go if he fights Ron Hayes. He's going to go to the early grave or he's going to get sent to orbit.
One or the other. Neither one of those are a good deal for you, Mr. Benn.
No, especially when you're off the secret sauce. Like, you don't want Boots. But here's the thing with Boots. What's left for him in the welterweight division? Like, maybe Conor Benn is the best case scenario. Let me look at the welterweight rankings. And because, I mean, aside if maybe Spence stayed, that's the best scenario. Now that Crawford's over here, being a total payday leech.
Yep, and he's about to get some CTE.
And possibly an early death.
Lord.
He's never felt the hands of a middleweight, let alone Canelo.
Hopefully not, but it is boxing.
Hey, look. But Crawford did say, you know, the reason he wants to do this fight is because he'd jump up about 2-3 divisions up and becoming 3-time undisputed champion and do it. I ain't gonna lie. If Bud beats Canelo and becomes undisputed, 3-time undisputed, and at once went from 140, 147 to 168, we might be looking at the GOAT.
I would have to fold on that one. Credit where it's due at that point, because that's a miracle waiting to happen at that point.
Yeah, I mean,
but realistically,
but back to the welterweight rankings. So the rankings right now: Crawford, he's going to 168. Yeah. Spence, he's probably going to go see a therapist.
I hope so.
Virgil Ortiz moved up. Stanionis might be the best case for Boots.
Which, even then, it's like we want a better matchup for Boots.
We need to see Conor Ben versus Alexis Rocha. That's a good fight.
I hadn't even thought about that one.
That's a good fight. Or Mario Barrios.
Mr. Barrios, he's a tough fight for everyone he goes up against.
Yeah, that's the level of competition where Conor Ben should be going next. But the fact that he's calling out Boots, hold their horses.
This man's aiming for the stars.
And he's trying to look at them.
Clearly.
He's trying to look at those stars.
Or let me get into the bag of my brother, who's missing in action at the moment.
R.I.P.
Teofimo versus Boots. I know that's an idea he toyed around with.
Teofimo gets sent to an early therapist session where he cries to his daddy about how he got killed.
He's a Teofimo hater. I think Mr. Tail has a legitimate chance. We know that when this man...
Against Boots?
Absolutely.
Against Boots?
Absolutely.
Oh, he's not just in your bag, Milton. This
man's skills speak for themselves. His resume speaks for itself.
You don't want to do that.
You can't write him off.
You don't want to.
You can't write him off.
Look. Teofimo has about 20% chance against Boots.
That ain't zero.
No, but that's but. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot Teofimo 0 was taken away. There goes my insult.
That's cute. But anywho, there's a reason why this man has been in the pound for pound rankings. There's a reason why this man has beat the level of competition that he's beat.
Said it easy.
That's cute.
Easy.
You're calling Lomachenko an easy fight.
He said aside from Loma. And it was an injured Loma.
Josh Taylor?
Again, we're using Taylor as a prop for a returning Paquiao. What does that say about Taylor?
That he's got a good name.
He's got a good name.
Absolutely. And he's got good skills.
Look, the moment that Teofimo beat Josh Taylor...
Realistically, Paquiao doesn't belong in the ring with Josh Taylor either.
Actually, you know what's a winnable fight for Teofimo? Paquiao.
Stop it.
Stop it. That's the point to make.
Stop. You don't even believe that. Get out of here.
But this isn't about Teofimo. Whenever his fight is coming up, we'll talk about Teofimo. We don't care.
He doesn't care, but he's a hater.
Until I see a Teofimo Haney, I don't care.
Which is very plausible now. Very plausible. Until that division gets all the messes cleaned up. We'll see.
It's a whole shit show because you got everybody from 135 trying to jump to 140 and everybody at 140 still kind of doing their thing.
Yeah.
So, like you said, it's a mess. And Teofimo's at the middle of it. But we're switching gears from boxing to MMA.
There you go.
Let's talk about UFC Fight Night. We have to. You know, it was your average fight night, nothing special. We had Nasruddin Imavov beating Roman Dolidze in what I thought was actually a bit of an upset because Dolidze was ranked 8th and coming into it, Imavov was ranked 11th. Now Imavov is probably going to take that 8th spot and probably fight Brendan Allen or Marvin Vettori in the future. Nothing really special to talk about here. It was actually a very, okay fight. The judging though.
Now there's a topic.
The judges had it 49-44, 47-47, 48-46 for majority decision win for Nasruddin Imavov.
See, I made this comparison off camera, but I'm going to repeat it again. UFC is starting to get to stoop, I should say. UFC starting to stoop to boxing levels of judging. Because again, we love boxing here on the channel, but I don't think any real hardcore boxing fan is going to deny that one of the worst aspects of boxing has always been the judging.
I agree.
And UFC has had some questionable judging lately also.
It's been looking very sus lately. I, as a huge UFC fan, us as a huge UFC community, we're starting to really take notice of it. You know, it's starting to look like, what are they grading it on? Like, what is the judging? You know?
I would say, to a degree, UFC almost kind of follows like a boxing rule book when it comes to their scoring, which is kind of weird because obviously there's a lot more that goes into MMA than boxing. I think that it might be time for them to
have a sit down,
have actual guidelines like, hey, this is what scores more than this matters more to us, you know, than other things. Whether it's takedowns, kicks, whatever.
Or like a knockdown is 1 point, takedown half a point, damage another half a point. You know, like
yeah, because it seems like lately there's kind of a rift between certain judges like ground game and takedowns more, and then other judges kind of like striking fights more. So it's kind of like it's pretty messy.
Yeah, which we saw what happened in the whole controversy between DDp. Dricus Du Plessis,
perfect example,
and Sean Strickland. It, you know, how depending on how you personally look at it, then you score it. So like, and the worst part is that either side can make a case for it. That's kind of what's kind of hard for this. Like he said, it's time for the sit down. Time for us to really, all of us, get in a collective unit and know how to score it, how it's scored.
Absolutely. And put my conspiracy cap on for a second. I would argue, you know, UFC is getting pretty big. Lots of money moves going on. Maybe the UFC is taking a note from, you know, boxing's handbook and getting a little dirty. You know, little dirty fingers here and there.
In what sense?
Judging.
Ah, yes.
You know what I mean?
Dana?
I wouldn't say it's as rigged as boxing has been in the past, but you know, it's looking
might be
pretty
some favoritism.
You know,
Some favoritism. We definitely are going to be monitoring these next 3 pay-per-views and seeing how these goes, because speaking of these pay-per-views and speaking of Du Plessis, a new turn of events for UFC 300 is rumored that now it's looking like, according to Michael Chiesa, there's nothing legit, that the UFC is working on now having Adesanya Du Plessis. And we've talked about this on the show before. Me and Milton touched on this. Du Plessis and Adesanya headlining UFC 300. Also, though, according to Milton, told me that Dana White might even be looking to add 2 more fights to it. And based on what we're seeing, maybe it could be DDP, Adesanya. I'm not in agreement with that. I really want that fight in Africa.
Agreed. Ideally, it would be a super fight in Africa.
Absolutely. If you put Kamaru Usman as the co-main or a feature bout against the winner of Whitaker and Costa, bro, like you got something.
Whitaker versus Usman, that's a good fight.
Exactly.
That's a good fight. You can make that a main event on its own, realistically.
On a fight night, easy.
On a fight night, yeah, sure.
Easy.
They were probably not pay-per-view, considering where they're both at the moment. But
yeah.
Fight night, absolutely.
You can absolutely make that as a banger fight night.
I mean, it seems like every other week we have UFC 300 news at this point. So
I know, and Dana keeps saying like he's got the news coming, and that's fine. Like I get it, it's a big deal, but it's not until April.
Yeah.
But all of these rumors, like we still have the Conor McGregor, Michael Chandler rumors, and I personally actually would be more in favor of seeing that on 300.
I agree, simply because of what you said. It makes it a lot more feasible to have that DDP versus Adesanya fight in Africa headline it, which again would be lit. Let's keep it real. But at the same time, considering how slow things have been with the whole UFC 300 news, it kind of seems like DDP winning kind of fell on Uncle Dana's lap, and he just kind of wants to do something with it.
Yeah, but don't rush it, you know. And if you're Du Plessis, you're stupid if you can, because you have control if you can take the fight or not. Don't rush it, man. Your eye is almost busted up.
Disgusting.
Recover. Because UFC 301 is going to be in Brazil. You're probably not going to get an Africa fight until 302 or 303. That's enough time to recover. You don't want to go in there, and we don't want to see another Adesanya title reign.
I'm neither here nor there at this point.
You know, like it's hold off on it. Connor Chandler, give that one a thumbs up. Pereira Hill, for the UFC 300, maybe. Pereira Aspinall.
Now here's where things get spicy. We're in opposite camps on Mr. Pereira versus Aspinall.
We are.
I am a firm believer that Pereira has no business challenging Tom Aspinall whatsoever.
I'm going to tell y'all right now, if it gets made official, Pereira versus Aspinall, you're going to see this on camera.
Absolutely. And you're also going to see Julio's reaction when his boy gets annihilated by Tom Aspinall.
In the words of my opponent, cute.
Super.
But speaking of fights, speaking of drama, and this isn't even UFC 300 related, this is UFC 299 related. We had this weird thing with Dustin Poirier and Benoit Saint Denis about how their fight, Poirier came out and said their fight was never official, that he hasn't signed, and then Benoit's camp came out and said that they weren't aware of it or something. Like I think one of the coaches in the training camp came out and said like, we weren't aware of the fight. Benoit was never contacted. Then Dana goes and leaks his conversation with Benoit, saying that it was official, that like there was a verbal agreement, and Dana basically told whoever in Benoit's camp to go fuck themselves. Like Dana was on one. Then Poirier came out and said, "Oh, it was a misunderstanding. I am actually on board with the fight. It's official. The fight's on." I think what this all came down to was money. I think Poirier wanted to get paid his due, and maybe Benoit got paid a little more too.
Which, I mean, to be fair, like, we all love Dustin here. He's a veteran of the game. He's got star power now. He's still got top tier skills.
He's a dog.
Yeah, regardless of his wins, losses, where he's at in the rankings, you know that man's going to show up to fight and make it a good fight. So, I mean, I agree. Most likely, probably just money, which is fair. Especially fighting an opponent like Benoit, who's a pretty dangerous opponent.
Dangerous and not even in the top 10 ranked. So you're doing him a solid if you're Poirier. And
it's giving him a shot at the top 5.
Yes, very similar to like when Sean Strickland fought Pineda.
Absolutely.
So I could see where Poirier was coming, but it was just a weird scenario. Like, I think for about 3 hours early in the morning, we were all kind of just like, what the shit is going on?
You know what that was? That was friendly fire.
Yeah.
Everybody's like negotiating, but taking shots at each other.
And it just leaked,
like,
I guess.
Weird situation, but
both of them, both Benoit and Poirier are being good sports about it. The fight's on. They're excited.
How do you see it going?
If it's in the stand-up, if it's at Poirier's pace, he's gonna piece up Benoit. Benoit's just strong. He's a strong striker, but I think if it goes to the ground, then it gets interesting. However, when Michael Chandler took Poirier to the ground, it backfired on him. So
it did, and we've seen Mr. Poirier as a jack of all trades these days. So
what did he say? Who said no jiu-jitsu?
See, you can't count anybody out.
You can't, and it's Poirier. So I mean, I think this is really where we're going to see where Poirier's at in his career, and if Benoit's ready. This is, like I said this before, this is very similar to when Justin Gaethje took the fight against Rafael Fiziev, and. Absolutely. Gaethje came out and said, it's not your time yet. He proved it. And, maybe this is what Poirier has to do with Saint Denis now.
Do you think that if Mr. Saint Denis pulls it off, this might be exactly what we need to spice up the division again?
Yes, and we have a French star power in the lightweight division.
Ooh, UFC France?
Cyril Gane, Benoit Saint Denis.
There you got your main event and your co-main right there.
And Mariette Furiat. That's for the women's right there. You got some French star power coming up.
Interesting.
So we'll see. It's gonna be a fun fight. But until then, keep hitting the like, keep hitting the subscribe, share it with everybody. If you hate anybody and they hate boxing and they hate UFC, share it with them just to spite them. Milton, I hope you're having a fun time. We miss you.
Of course.
Sometimes.
You can have your seat back. I'm just the intern.
He's the cuter one, though.
I think we might have to shut off these cameras soon.
100. So follow us on social media, on Twitter, Twitter X, on Instagram, on TikTok, all at Knockout Sessions. Twitter's KOSessions. Hope to see you soon. We'll have more updates and more fights coming up soon. Keep it 100.
Later.